Hi, welcome to the Develop Your Voice module. So in terms of developing your voice, this is about authenticity and clarity. So when people see your posts, they know what to expect. You're consistent. They understand your voice. They understand the things that you care about. They understand the things you stand for. And I think a lot of people don't understand the importance of this, because if you are inconsistent with your voice, this is where a lot of people will unfollow you. So if you are someone who's kind, but you're constantly posting things in from a state of anger or feelings of unworthiness, that's going to be something that's going to hinder your ability to grow because people will not know how to kind of like merge the two together and understand that you're one person with one voice. So anytime someone feels confused by you, it's a reason for them to unfollow you. So I'll start off by just saying, what does this mean? So, what does your voice sound like? So, what does that sound like to you? So, thinking through what are the things you talk about? What is your tone of voice? And what's your intention behind the things you say? Because intention goes a long way. And so many people just tweet to tweet or tweet to get engagement. And there's so much more behind the words, because behind the words it's who you are and it's your voice, so just keeping that in mind. And then this idea, how do you show up for others? So I think a lot of the times, we really don't realize that when we put something on a social platform, it's really not about us. It's about the people who perceive it and the people who read it and the people who scroll past it. It's really about the impression you're making. And sometimes people won't engage with your content, but you're still making an impression. And it's important that your impression is something that you're conscious of and intentional about. I mean, obviously, you can't articulate yourself to the point that people know exactly what you mean every time you articulate yourself. But I would just say for you to have clarity on what you mean and clarity on your intentions and clarity on who you are and a consistent voice is so important. So again, this comes with time. You have to develop your voice. So if you really feel lost and like you don't know who you are and you feel too afraid to tweet, I would just let you know that you might have to start off doing it scared. And I think this is something that a lot of people talk about now, is that the fear never really goes away. There's always a fear of rejection. There's always a fear of criticism. There's always a fear of receiving hate online. And also fears of the way we feel about ourselves, like putting something out there and cringing at our own content because we're so uncomfortable with who we are and because we don't know who we are. So, again, the more you understand your voice, the more comfortable you are in speaking your voice and standing up for the things you believe in, and that like cringe factor usually will go away. So kind of like when you know what your voice is, it's something that you become comfortable with. It's something that you can flourish inside of, and you really can trust yourself. And again, voice is about trust. So the way you build trust with your audience is by having a consistent voice. Um, so again, you can be a really incredible person, but if you don't have a consistent voice, it will be hard for people to follow you. It will be hard for people to, once you gain a follower, for them to stay. Again, people really hit that follow button for your voice and for who you are, and it's not really about inconsistency. And really, the reason people unfollow you is that inconsistency. They followed you because they thought you were a certain way, and then they unfollow you because they don't think you're living up to their expectations. Um, so yeah, again, on Twitter, there's follower like limits within like an hour or a day, but there's not really a follower limit, like in terms of like you could have like 75, you could be following 75,000 people. And so for someone to unfollow you, it really is something that comes back to your voice. So just keep in mind that it's really it again, there are bots, so bots could be unfollowing you. And I would say if you're worried about the people unfollowing you, then you're definitely not focused on growing, because it's normal for people to unfollow you. But also, as people unfollow you, you should be getting like attracting more people who like your voice, who have a similar voice, who learn from your voice, who enjoy your voice. So again, just think that it's really that mindset about going forward and not looking back. If someone unfollows you, I would say don't track it. Don't track if someone unfollows you. Don't take it personally, but do know that sometimes it is about the voice. And I would say most of the time it is about an inconsistent voice is the reason someone is unfollowing you. So again, if you offend someone, obviously they followed you because they didn't think they would be offended by your content. Um, so just like that idea that it is inconsistency. So again, if you stand for something, be about that. And it's really about developing your voice, because you can't really find your voice. You have to really develop it. And I'll give an example of when I was developing my voice in just a second. But first, how do you show up for yourself? So it's not always about interacting with people. Sometimes you'll have tweets and it'll have really low engagement, but it's still important because you're showing your voice and you're developing your voice. So sometimes your voice is developed in those tweets that don't go anywhere, that really are just show people who you are. So again, like if something doesn't engagement, don't be embarrassed by it. It's normal. It's part of the process. And as long as it's your authentic voice, keep it on your page. Don't delete something because it doesn't have engagement. Again, feel comfortable deleting something if you feel like it's inauthentic to your voice, or if someone messages you and says it offended them, and you do believe that it's something that you don't want to put out there. So again, just keep that in mind. Um, so yeah, so I'll talk about how my biggest lesson on developing my voice. So someone told me that I was unworthy of the followers I had. I think I was at like 3,000 followers, and someone said I was unworthy of having 3,000 followers on Twitter. And this really upset me. Like immediately I like cried for 3 hours because I was going through a lot, and this was like literally like the last thing I needed to hear. And it really hurt. It hurt that someone would say that to me, and that I really wanted to. I was looking like at the horizon. I was like thinking like I wanted to go further than 3,000, and this was just like hit me like a ton of bricks. Like it really like got to like all of my insecurities, and I really just cried. And in that I internalized it. I internalized this idea that I wasn't worthy of those followers that I had, and I started showing up like that. So after this happened, I started tweeting things from a place of feeling hurt and a place of feeling wounded and like a victim. And I have passive trauma. So really, when I get in that victim mindset, it is something that is very heavy. I've been suicidal before, so it's really something that is like very emotionally charged. So it was something that was a deep wound that really felt like it was inflicted again. And I realized I wasn't gaining followers, and I was just like, okay, this is weird. Normally I'm getting so many followers and I have so much momentum, and like there's just momentum building and building and building. And I just was so confused, and I said like, what am I doing wrong? So I tweeted something that was pessimistic about dating, because I really felt very pessimistic about my dating situation. And I was actually dating the person who said I didn't deserve the followers. And I felt like the reason it wasn't working out between us was because of me. And I think I didn't have enough clarity that if someone's telling me I'm unworthy of the things I desire, that's clearly not me. And that it was something that wasn't a healthy relationship. And I internalized that, and it really hurt. And someone messaged me and they said that they were offended by something I put out. And it wasn't like something that was like offensive. It was something that I was saying about how I was hurting, and it triggered them um in a way that felt very personal to them. And I'm so glad that I had gained enough credibility with this person that they reached out and they said, normally your posts are so uplifting and motivating. And, you know, this just really like triggered this like familial wound they had. And, you know, I was like, wow, like I didn't notice that I was doing that. And you think like, you know, like you usually look at your own profile and you kind of like take inventory of what you're saying. But I was just in such a dark place that I couldn't see it. And then I realized that and I was like, okay, I'll delete this. But I didn't really see the bigger picture, and I didn't see how this was contributing to my feelings of feeling unworthy because of what someone had said to me. Um, so I deleted that post because I didn't want anyone else to feel like they had to go through something just because I was going through something. And again, like I think it's important to talk about when you're talking about yourself and things you're going through, speak from your scars and not your wounds. So if something is an open wound, if you're still hurt about it, if you haven't overcome it, that's not where you want to be coming from. That's not the place that that's not the place that is right for you, and that's not the place that's right for your audience. It's really the scars. So I do suicide prevention posts, but it's something that I overcame. It's something that I am joyous about my life now. I'm happy to be alive and grateful to be alive. So it has a different tone. The suicide prevention posts are really about reminding people that there's hope, that the way they feel isn't forever. um so yeah, just thinking about that. And then I went to my profile and I said, okay, I really haven't gained any followers. What am I doing that's different? Because, you know, I think there has to be some sort of logical explanation for this. And I looked at my profile and I just saw that it was really like all these tweets that I just felt like I wasn't worthy. Just tweets that were kind of like not really a reflection of who I am. It was like a reflection of my wounds. And then I scrolled past to before this person had said I was unworthy of the followers I had. And it was always like every milestone, I thanked people, I thanked my followers, I was sending love to my followers. Like I was full of so much gratitude, and it meant the world to me to get to know these people online. And again, like I said in the build your platform, or that I will say in the build your platform module, is that some of the best times that I had growing and just in my own life personally, it was when I had the opportunity to get to know the people I was interviewing and how they felt about poetry. Like that really like spoke to my soul. And I think a lot of the times we really minimize things we're going through, and we feel like it's something that we have to go through alone. And just know that this isn't about, like, if you have bad news and you are looking for support online, like I would say like feel comfortable posting about that. Like if you really need that online support, like post about it. But I'm going to say also like make sure you're not triggering people with the things you're posting. So for me, the mindset switch was that my voice was a voice of being grateful. And that's like my energetic frequency is of gratitude. And um, that's like, for me, that's like the best part of life, is to recognize all the things that are meaningful to you. And again, if you want to post about something that you're still going through, like feel comfortable doing that, but also like make sure it's in your voice. um so you could just be like sad news today and then say what happened. Or you can say feeling discouraged by these rejection letters, anyone else been there, things like that. And like again, like just make sure that it's in your voice. So I talk about things I've been through all the time, and that's part of my message. But I make sure I am coming from a place that I am not triggering someone. And of course, I might be triggering someone who doesn't believe there's hope, or it feels like they're in a place of hopelessness. And then again, you really can't, you can't try to be liked by everyone, and you can't try to be there for everyone. You really have to try to show up for the people that are on your page. And you have to recognize that there are some people who will not see the world in the way that you do. And those people, you should be repelling, and you should be attracting the people who do see the world the way you do, or have something to learn from you, or that you can learn from. So again, it's about showing up. It's not about, I know this is going to be hard for some people to hear, but it's not about saving people. Like, it's not like, I know even I do suicide prevention posts, but I don't think this is going to save someone. I think this might reach someone, and it might be just like a little bit of that inspiration that they needed in that day. Because when I was suicidal, art and like things I would read online really kept me alive. Like, every second I could find a bit of inspiration, it was a reason to hold on. So I make sure that I always am putting that energy back out there, because that's the reason I'm alive. So just being there in the way that people were there for me. Um, and even it was like people I didn't know, like it was really like the people that weren't in my life that I just could see online, who put themselves out there and were vulnerable, that made me feel like there was hope. And whether it was reading a poem or a book or writing, like, never underestimate the impact your voice can have. And again, don't overexert yourself to feel like you have to have an impact. Like, just be yourself, and do what's right for you, because if it's right for you, it'll be right for your ideal avatar. And it's so important that you trust yourself, and that you trust your voice, and that you're constantly developing your voice. So again, don't underestimate yourself. And then also, in terms of that feeling of unworthiness, I realized that it's not about how I feel. It's not about how people perceive me. It's about who I am. And I stepped into the voice that I have. And, things felt better from there. Things got better from there. So it's not really about hovering over feelings of unworthiness, because someone could believe I'm unworthy of something, but I don't have to internalize it. I don't have to make that my truth. I don't have to make that my reality. And again, like, sometimes you don't have to really get into like the very very nuanced details of feelings you have that could be holding you back, but it's really about reframing the things that are your motivators, that are inspiring you, that are your reasons to keep going, that are your reasons to keep posting, that are your reasons to connect with people, and really hold on to what's bringing you forward, your drive, your fuel. And sometimes those feelings never go away, and they just they don't come to the forefront of your mind, because you're focused on where you want to go. So focus on your voice, focus on authenticity, focus on clarity, and let go of feelings of unworthiness. And again, it's not so much like a practice of letting go. I mean, it is in like a philosophical sense, but sometimes letting go just means choosing to focus on the things that are going right, choosing to focus on the things that are inspire you, choosing to focus on the things that are in your control. And again, your voice is in your control. So that's a bit on developing your voice. So I'll give you an example. So I'll go through my page and I'll show you kind of like the consistency in my voice. So we're back to Twitter. Here we are. I'll make myself smaller so you can see the page. Little me on the side. Okay. So again, here I tell you the things, the titles I identify with, my lifestyle choices. You know, I'm into poetry, things like that, uplifting messages if you go and look at any of my pages. Just want to say, sending so much love to everyone this weekend. I'm grateful for all who follow me. Thanks for being here. Here's an example of something that didn't get much engagement, but I did comment myself to them. And then this is someone I retweeted. So again, the idea of being confident and comfortable on camera is something that I recently started experimenting with, videos on Twitter, because I wanted to see kind of like how people would interact with them, how people would perceive them, how many people it would reach, and just to see how many people it resonated with. So again, that's something why I retweeted this, because it's something that if someone likes a video I have and they don't know how to feel comfortable on camera, here's some tips that they can do it for themselves. So again, it's really about like not collecting all these things that you feel like only you can do. I would say that's really not what service is, and that's not really having a heart of service means. So kind of like don't feel like the things you do are so unique to you or so original, or don't feel like you start every trend. Like I do see a lot of people who feel like it's important to have a lot of followers have this idea, this inflated idea of they always have to be cutting edge. And again, if you if that's for you, then this might not be the advice that you need. I'm really speaking to people who are on here to serve and to have meaningful connections and real connections and not feel like they're better than anyone. Again, in serving people and teaching people, really the only place you're coming from is that you started a little earlier than they did. So yeah, I'll give you an example of this story. So I wanted to work on leadership. I was gaining followers and I was like, you know, I want to learn how to be a good leader. And I was running groups and I was just like, how can I develop these skills as a leader? And I noticed that I was really forcing it, that I was really taking on leadership roles. And then I would kind of like feel like maybe I wasn't doing such a good job, or maybe I didn't connect with everyone. I didn't make everyone feel like they had a place. And, you know, it's impossible to do everything. But what really changed my mindset was I was walking on the boardwalk and there was literally no one in front of me. Absolutely no one in front of me. And all the time I wake up early, I go for walks, I sometimes jog, and like it's just so important to me to kind of like have peace of mind. So I was walking and I was like, you know, I have something to do, I'm gonna go back. And I turned around and there were so many people behind me, so many people. I was overwhelmed. I was like, where did these people come from? There's no one in front of me. And then I realized that's kind of like a metaphor for how I should really be seeing leadership. So this idea that it's not really about doing something intentional that you're ahead of people. It's literally just this idea that you had like one step of an earlier start. So it's like, say, I decided to grow on Twitter, and I made that decision before someone else did. Like it's not that there's something that's so special about what I do on Twitter or so special about who I am that is why I hit my first 10,000 followers. Like it's really not about that. It's really just like concentrated effort. And the idea that, back to this story about when I saw people behind me, I just started walking earlier than they did, and just a little bit earlier. And it's not like I was so much faster than them that they couldn't keep up. Like, really release those thoughts from your mind, because that's going to hold you back. That's going to impact your ability to connect with people. If you think you're better than everyone, when someone messages you, you're not going to actually connect with them. And again, don't feel like if someone's like coming on to you, you have to answer them, because I'll be very clear, there are some people who like actually scam you. So people that say like a very common scam, so be careful of this. A very common scam, especially for women to be careful, is like they'll say they're in the army and that they have children and that they're a widower. And just this idea that then they'll try to get your information and they'll scam you. And there's a great Red Table Talk episode on this. It does, I think, even happen on Twitter. So if you see someone's profile and it looks suspicious, you don't have to follow them. Again, I usually follow people who are writers or people who inspire me. So yeah, again, focus on the things you want and let go of your fears, but also be vigilant that some people don't have the right intentions. So again, if you're posting pictures and people say inappropriate things on your pictures, feel free to block them. If someone messages you 30 times in a row, hello, I want to marry you, I'm in Pakistan and I'm gonna get on a plane to come find you, like, you can block those people. And that's a true story. Just like the idea that being online doesn't make you accessible in a way that you have to give parts of yourself that you're not comfortable giving, that's not service. So you're not serving people by abandoning yourself, and you don't have to give your attention to everyone. Again, focus on like your niche, focus on the people that you actually are there to serve. So yeah, don't feel uncomfortable blocking people if someone really makes you feel uncomfortable, things like that. Like, again, try to be cautious about the difference with someone making you uncomfortable and you having a wound that someone is triggering. So kind of like ask yourself and have that level of self-awareness. But yeah, just know that that you deserve to feel safe. Okay, and then here's an example of a space we're doing, a Twitter space, suicide prevention and mental health. So I said all are welcome. I think someone reads all are welcome, they'll be like, that sounds like Katie. And then here I retweeted someone seriously who decided on the spelling of rhythm. I have so much trouble spelling rhythm. Literally, I can't spell rhythm. Like, I keep trying and it's like it always comes up, and like it's always like in such, like, I feel like every time you say rhythm, it's always like such a joyous time. Like when you're talking about rhythm, it's so joyous and like you're in such a good mood, and then you should go to spell it and you can't spell it. And that's why I retweeted that, because that's something I felt so deeply. Like, just like there are some words that really trip me up. Restaurant, like restaurant always, specifically for writers, like I feel like this kind of stuff, like we're all kind of in the same boat, kind of like looking up words, making sure we're using it in the right way. And honestly, sometimes if you say things that are kind of like funny to you, or very much like this, like people can try and like do some like kind of like insincere comments about like, just like how they might not like that and they might not be there for that kind of content. So again, I think there is a difference between using your voice to retweet someone and using your voice to say something. So I probably, if I wanted to say something about how hard it is to spell rhythm, I probably wouldn't say it exactly like this. But again, within that, this is something that is a part of my voice. This is something that is inside of my internal dialogue. I like literally am asking myself, how do I spell rhythm? How do I spell restaurant? And even autocorrect, like I feel like autocorrect doesn't always like help you out. even Grammarly. Sometimes they have no idea what you're even attempting to do. So yeah, just that thought that the retweets should be something that are adding to your voice and also adding to your connections. So this is someone that I featured before. So, you know, just retweeting people that you connect with. Okay, so this is what I said originally about the suicide prevention and mental health space. As a multiple suicide attempt survivor, I can't wait to bring you to this space with some amazing people on Saturday, September 10th at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time during Suicide Prevention Week. So we were very intentional to do this during Suicide Prevention Week. And then, you know, I really wanted it to get a little bit of engagement. So I said, please like, comment, and retweet to spread the message. So, you know, sometimes like just adding a little bit of that, like you really asking for engagement, like don't feel uncomfortable doing that. Like sometimes if it's a really important message, like ask people to share the message. And then set a reminder. That actually was what came up automatically. So I guess I always ask. And then I tagged people, and then I told them to tag friends. And then I actually had to correct myself because I set it for 12 a.m. So again, just a reminder that you will make mistakes and you don't have to be perfect. And I set the Twitter space for 12 a.m. You know, obviously that's when people in Eastern Standard Time are probably sleeping. And then and the thing is, I actually put that in the tweet, so I couldn't go back to change it. So I switched this time to 12 p.m. because it was noon. And honestly, even now, I'm not even sure if I got it right. I just am hoping that's right. And I kind of like put it publicly. So if I'm wrong, I hope someone corrects me. So again, remember that like mistakes happen. Like one time I tweeted, and I'll mention this in other modules, I tweeted happy Sunday and it was Saturday, and someone actually reached out to me and said it's Saturday. So I didn't even delete it. I just retweeted it the next day. So yeah, like again, don't try to always be perfect. Don't be so perfectionistic that you're torturing yourself. Again, this is something about showing up, and when we show up, it's really about not being perfect. It's having those moments that we make mistakes. And again, the people who are there to hear your voice are going to appreciate that your voice isn't something that is, I don't know, that goes through like like 6 editors. People don't want you like tweeting what your editors put out. They want you to hear your voice specifically. So there's a lot of people who don't believe in the same things I do, but I still want to see them happy and witness good things in their life. We all deserve good things. Side note, good things are not at the expense of others, to be very clear. All love. So this was something that was inspired just by I know this someone that I knew had very different beliefs than I did, and they looked like were having a good day, and it brought me so much joy. And I think so much of the times there's so much divisiveness online, that we sometimes get lost in it, and we think that online is some place full of hate and extremism, and you know it's there, but again, like create your bubble, like block people. Like again, this is something that is about growing organically and with an intention, so service to the community and within a niche. So just be conscious that you do have the ability to influence people and to change people's mindset. And I would say I didn't tweet this to change someone's mindset. I tweeted it because this is really how I felt, and it's my voice. Like that's like literally like how I like think. And you know, I just wanted to tweet this out because I'm sure so many of my followers do not believe in all the things I believe in. And I don't believe in everything that other people believe in. And I just want them to know that I still care that they're here and that it still matters to me and that I want to see them succeed and I want good things to happen to them. So, yeah. Okay, so here is an example. So here's a message for you today on creative legacy. Just a reminder that what we create leaves an impact. So something that I do want to get at here is I don't know if I should put sound onto it. Yes, themselves. So a reminder that we are teaching people how to love themselves and how to treat themselves and how to understand the world through what we create. Have a good day. Okay, so I posted a video and it was in my voice. So I want to be very clear that what you post, being consistent matters. So here's an example of something that is an engagement question that also is still in my voice. So writers, I want to cheer you on. What are your September goals? So I did respond to a lot of people, just cheering them on and saying yay and so amazing. You know, people are doing great work. People are really pushing themselves and it's really beautiful. So I just on September 1st I posted that, and it was really great to just kind of like get that going and kind of see what people are actually working on. And also, it's so important that the people who are engaging with you, you know what they're doing and what they're working on and what's important to them and what's their priorities. Because if you're tweeting something that has nothing to do with anything in their world, then you won't be of service. Maybe you'll be entertaining or an escape, but you won't be of service. And again, this is really about serving people. And then again, here on A Voice. So here's a picture, but it's not about the picture, it's about the message. So happy Thursday, sending so much love to each and every one of you. Again, that's, you can see that everything sounds so familiar that I literally whenever I have a thought and I want to kind of like put that thought out into the world, I tweet it. So you can see that so much of this is like repetitive and familiar. So who else can't wait for autumn? What's your fave thing about autumn? So anyone who follows me, I think they'll realize that October is a very special time for me. It's my favorite month of the year. Halloween is my favorite day of the year. It's my mom's birthday, so it's always been special. And I would like take days off and like get like Halloween decorations and days off from school. So like even in my childhood, it was something that was a very special time for me. So yeah, it's about like being who you are. So it's like I'm not going to hide that I like love Halloween. I'm not going to hide that like October is like such an exciting time for me. And when I first started Summation 52, my first October, I actually interviewed horror poets. So every week was a horror poet, and you know, I love just doing like kind of like special things at like special times of the year. So also like how we're doing this Twitter space for Suicide Prevention Week. I'm also going to be doing videos for Suicide Prevention Week. So I hope they reach people who need to hear it. So yeah, just that. And so someone followed me that I admire so much. So here's just welcome the most epic writer with a book coming out soon. I can't wait for this book. Might be out on Halloween. So exciting. Yeah, like it's like when things line up, it's beautiful. Like I literally will like read that on Halloween. I don't know where to find it yet, but I really hope it comes out on Halloween. And if it doesn't, it's still going to be like a very special day because I can't wait to read that. About that's a freelance writer. So yeah, check them out. Totally amazing. So here's an engagement question. Writers, how often do you write? So this was something that I did have the idea that I wanted to invite people to my Discord server, Creativeville, that I run with Sarah Habab. And I actually did go in and I invited people personally. So sometimes you tweet something and people, it doesn't get a lot of engagement, especially if it's an external tweet. I think the algorithm wants people to stay on Twitter. So sometimes it doesn't send that to people. So I know there's 100 comments. I'm not sure if I if I answered 100 people, but I did answer a lot of people. And I said, like, if I felt like they kind of like were felt like they weren't holding themselves accountable and they really wanted to, or they were looking for a community, or like they were dragging their feet on something, I think it was just so important to personally invite them. So I do have to say, if you have something that you want people to join and that is of service to them, again, like don't spam people, like do not spam people. But like this specifically, I did invite people, and that's how I got some people into our server. And it's great. Like so on Twitter, I do have a lot more followers than there are people in Creativeville. So again, like it's easier to get to know people in Creativeville, to talk to people in Creativeville. Again, there's a lot of people on Twitter that I like always recognize them. I know what they're working on. I see them on my feed. But again, like sometimes it's impossible to get to know everyone, but like in Creativeville, everyone that posts, I get to know them. They're on my feed. Like again, so just like be aware that you don't have to like know everyone. You don't have to like memorize everyone's name. You don't have to memorize everyone's projects. Like again, just check in, like ask every once in a while. And again, sometimes things will be relevant that will be of service to you too. So again, it's not about being so selfless that you abandon yourself. Like serving others and being served in return, like just because like you have a similar interest, you're working on similar projects, you want to collab, like let that like be something that is harmonious. And this idea that don't fill from an empty cup. So kind of like the idea that you're pouring in to other people, not with what you have yourself, but with the overflow of what you have in your cup. So kind of like your overflow is how you fill other people's cups. So again, it's important to not abandon yourself, because you need to have that overflow to then in turn serve other people. And then this is something I was tagged in, and I retweet it every Wednesday, and just said thanks for including me. So here you can see, this is something that's interesting that I don't know if a lot of people do. I haven't seen it, but I'll retweet something so that it gets on people's feed so that they'll see it. But then I'll also quote tweet it so that it'll be on my page, and that it's like, so this is actually the same content, but this has my commentary as a quote tweet. So I do that specifically if people tag me, if it's like an important event, if it's just like a tweet that I feel like, oh my God, I've always wanted to say this, but I've never known how to articulate it. Like that, I will tweet and then quote tweet. Again, the more you interact with people, the faster it becomes, the easier it is to kind of like connect with people. Like you'll realize you have like certain feelings and certain thoughts that are just all the time. So like I am very passionate. So when I see people writing and working on things, like I really love it. So all the time you'll just see me like, if you're like on my page, you'll see me just say love this, because like literally there's so many, like the thought of people writing, I love it. So like I'll always be like love this, like something else that I feel like is kind of like one of my go-tos is thanks for sharing. Because if something is meaningful to me and I feel like it will be meaningful to someone else, I'll say thanks for sharing. um yeah, so just that in your voice, gratitude is what my voice is. So ask yourself, where does your voice come in? So now we'll just do a little exercise. So grab a piece of paper and pencil, or the notes app on your phone, or wherever you take notes. So think about three words you use. Is that three? Yeah, three words. This is actually six. So three words you use to describe your voice. So if that's too hard, go to your profile page and then kind of like as an outsider, say three words you would use to describe your voice. And if that's way too hard, look at the people you admire and your role models, whether that be online or whether that be writers, poets, throughout history. Um, Ask yourself, what are three words that describe their writing style, describe how they show up, describe their voice, their authentic voice. Um, and then kind of like a lot of times the people we admire, it's because that's closer to our voice. And sometimes we can get lost and not actually have a better understanding of our voice, and we have better understandings of the voices of other people because they've developed it. Again, this isn't about something that like you have to discover it. It's like a secret that like you have to like find. Like again, it's really about developing. So if you go on your page and you feel like you're very pessimistic, or you're inconsistent, you're all over the place, again, don't be discouraged by that, but realize that that's where you're coming from right now, and develop the voice that is consistent. So again, a lot of the times when we have voices that we're not proud of, or that we just like don't feel like we can grow from a place of that, it's because it's inconsistent. It's because that's not our voice. When you know your voice, it will be consistent, and it will be kind of like how you react in certain situations. So again, I'm very caring, and a lot of the times when I say things, it's literally in like this like very nurturing caring way. Like I'll literally think like, I'll think a negative thought or like something that's like pessimistic, and then I'll start to like write it or journal on it, and it'll come out in this like very like positive, like caring and nurturing way, because my voice, the tone of my voice, it's, I can't take my care out of it. And I know a lot of times people say that I, in short form content, I get a lot of cross, and that's really comes from a place that it's like I speak from, you know, obviously my heart, but like also my gut. Like I just like I feel like I just have to infuse it with like that part of my soul. And again, that might seem very extreme to you. And I think like when it is something that like just becomes an instinct, it's easier to show up. It's easier to, you know, to just be yourself. Like if you are constantly thinking, okay, like what are my, like what am I going to tweet this week, and like you schedule posts, and like it's like stuff that like really isn't in your voice, like that's not something that's going to like attract people who will help you grow, or attract people who you can learn from, who you can connect with. Like it's really going to be like that instinctual voice, you showing up as yourself, you having something happen in your life, and then you tweet a lesson from it. Like that's something where you connect with people. Like you have to like maybe you want to schedule your tweets out, and you can do that on Twitter. I do not schedule my tweets. I think it's really important that, and it is something that's instinctual to me. It's a form of expression. Again, it's me being myself, and it's sharing my experiences with others. So yeah, remember, just ask yourself, is this serving people? And really that mindset shift from tweeting for yourself and tweeting to serve people is something that is very important. And really that's, your voice is in between there. So your voice will be a form of self-expression, and it will be a form of even art sometimes, and it'll be a form of serving others. So again, ask yourself, is that what your voice is doing? Awesome, have a good one.